I'm Ash Beatson and welcome to this episode where I'm going to compare bookkeeping software, specifically looking at the profit and loss report this time. When I'm looking at the profit and loss report, I really want to be able to make sure I can specify the period, be able to view that profit and loss on a month by month basis, maybe by quarter, but especially month by month, and also to have the ability to compare to previous periods or previous years. So let's start off looking at how and if I can do those things in Sage Online. Okay, so I'm logged into Sage, and if I go to the menus towards the top, I can see that I've got reporting there, and for profit and loss straight away I've got standard, comparative and customizable. Now what I have found, actually customizable is the best one to use, and if you go into profit and loss standard, you'll see this little option here that says try the new report, which is basically the customizable report I've just found. So try the new report. So when I come within here, it's just automatically defaulted to this sort of financial year to date really, or to this sort of period month that I'm in, which is 1st of 30th of September, and I've also got a year to date within here as well. And what I've found is if I change the date range, so I'll change that actually to this year, so from January to December 24. When I change that date range, what I can also see is that I've got some comparatives and how it needs to be displayed. Now if I actually just apply that, because I've got there one, to view it month by month and apply those settings, then that's exactly what I want. I've got here my profit and loss month by month, and I've got my sort of total year to date at the end. And I know we're not in December yet, but you get the idea. And with all of these things, if I click on the values, I can drill down to see all the details behind it. Now what I will do is, so first thing is, yes, I can run the report between pretty much any date period, and I can view it month by month. And if I in fact here you've got the option to put in your comparatives, so you've got previous period or prior year. I've got hardly any data in this particular file, but if I go in there to prior year, you've got show variances as an amount, percentage, or by both as an amount. So if I actually apply that, then in this particular one report, it can be a bit lengthy, because we've got a this year, last year and variance. So it's very, very useful though. But generally I wouldn't have 12 months in the comparators, because it can sometimes get confusing. Whatever financial reporting package you're using, it can be so many values in one report. But the option's there nonetheless, which is pretty good. What I'll do, so if I actually change that date range, and let's just put that to this quarter, because we can do quarterly as well, and to the previous period. So I've got July to September, so I should be comparing that to April, June, and we'll just report that as a total this time. And if I apply that, let's just see what we've got. There we go. So I've got July, September 24, previous period. And that's perfect, because if I'm doing management reports, I want to see, am I looking at any sort of trend? How's this quarter comparing against last quarter? Now what I have noticed in here is that, so you've got some additional settings. So you can choose how, which value should be shown, or as a movement, cumulative against periods. And also a save option. But what's interesting, I'll save this, and I'll call this quarterly, just put test 2, because I put a test 1 in earlier, and I'll save this report. Now I've saved the report, but and let me just, yeah, I've had a job so far finding where those saved reports are. So that could be just me. I've gone into different areas. I've gone back into reporting, and Sage Intelligence is something completely different, which I'll look at another time. I've gone into all reports, and I've looked through my reports. Anything at the bottom, I couldn't find saved reports. I've gone into favorites, and I don't see saved reports. So I've saved the report, but at the moment I've no idea where it is. But even without saving it, yes, I can do the profit and loss report, which I need. I can do it month by month. I can do it quarter by quarter. I can do comparisons, tick, tick, tick. I can do everything that I need in Sage. So let's move on now and take a look at how we can look at the profit and loss within Zoho. Okay, so in Zoho now, and I've had a very quick play in here. I'll just head over to reports. I immediately spotted there was actually a default profit and loss within here, system generated. Even if I hadn't have seen that, I could have searched at the top profit and loss and I would have found it as well. So I'll just open up the profit and loss report that I have within here. So with the profit and loss, I can see at the moment that I have a comparative. I've got April 24 to September 24, and I've also got April 23 to September 23. Now, although I have a comparative, I don't see a difference between the two. So I've just got a year to date, and I'm just going to double check that I haven't missed anything, because when I do have this compared with the previous period, you've got a number in there, but I don't see any other options, as in compare with a different value, compare with, as a percentage, like I did with Sage in the previous one. You can customize some of your columns a little bit. I'll just leave those as they are. There's not too much that you can customize within there, so I'll just click on cancel. So yes, I can have a comparative, but I don't see a difference between the two easily. Now, if I want to run the period over a set number of months as an example, this is what threw me a little bit earlier on. So actually I'll just turn this comparative off, so there's no comparative. If I apply that, this is what I just saw earlier, my total, so whatever period, and I've got a year to date in there, which happens to be the same because that's the period I'm running. Now if I were to run let's say a custom range, so let's run this instead from, let's say, the 1st of July to the 30th of September, and then done. Now I'll just run the report. So I've got 1st of July to 30th of September, so I've got my period, and I've also got my year to date, because my financial year in this file is running from 1st of April. Now the other thing that was a little bit confusing to begin with, when I was like, oh well, actually I want to view this month by month, and it wasn't until actually I went into this comparatives where then I chose previous periods. So let's say I want to look at that from I'm running this from July, aren't I? So I want to go back, let's say 3 periods, and then I apply, then I can see, what have we got here? July 24, because we're on a quarter by, that's because I'm running it quarter by quarter. So I've got July, April, June, up to March. So if I were only looking at that initially on 1 month, so let me just change that date there to go from the 1st of September until the 30th of September. and run the report. So when I'm selecting this to be 1 month, and then I've got a comparative going back 3 periods, then I see it on a month by month basis. So month by month is possible, quarter by quarter is possible. The comparatives, not as easy, so you can obviously do it, but it's not as simple as I've seen in other software, because I don't straight away see what is the difference between September and August without perhaps me downloading it into Excel. And I didn't mention that in Sage, but of course you can download your reports into Excel there if you need to. What I did do though quite easily, and let me just find the option to save the report. There we go. So I can save this as a custom report. So if I choose to save this as a custom report, and you've got some different things to choose from with your filters and your periods, just like if you were setting it up, but I've already set it up, so there's nothing that I need to change really in these first 3 steps in terms of my layout. But the main thing really is my, what I'm going to call the report. So here I'll just call this test 2, and I'll just put test 2 in there in the description just for speed. And I'm not looking at all of the report options here. I'm just concentrating on the profit and loss, what I really wanted to do. So I'll just save that custom report. But what I did find, which I didn't in Sage, is that I saved the report, I couldn't find them in Sage. I might be just being a little bit dense, possibly. But I'm a user, I should be able to find things easily. So if I'm in here and I come back to, let me just come back to home. If I come back into my reports, and then I just come back to custom reports, the 2 reports that I saved with pretty much zero, not zero training, with no training on here, is that I've saved a report and I could find it pretty quickly, and that's what I want to be able to do, and they're both there. So just to summarize really here in Zoho, yes, I can report against any period, I can do month by month, I can do quarter by quarter. The comparison, yes, we've got a comparison of sorts, but it's not what I would call a true comparison, because to see the difference between 2 months, it looks like I need to download it into Excel really to get that. Again, I'm new to the software, so I may have missed a step, but if it's there, it needs to be a little bit clearer. All right, that's Zoho done for now. Let's take a look at how we can report against the profit and loss in Free Agent. Okay, so I'm in Free Agent now, so let me just head to Accounting and then Reports from in here, and I can see right at the top, nice and easy to find, I've got Profit and Loss Report. What I did notice earlier, and this is a nice touch, is that I'm immediately alerted here that I've not actually brought all of my banking up to date. So I've got some entries that need to be approved or explained back in the banking area. So I'm going to do that first. I'll pause and we'll come back and that should be gone. Okay, bank transactions updated. That took all of about 20 seconds. So, how often have you actually produced a report only to find that nothing's up to date? So that's pretty good. Now, what I do like here is that immediately I've got profit and loss, and do I want to view it on a month by month basis, quarter by quarter, or on a year by year basis? So straight away, without me needing to really do anything, I can see I've got month by month. I can select the period, so I've just got this year to date, so I'm starting with the financial year starting in April, so it's April to where we are now, and I could change those if I wanted to. So again, I could put last 3 months, and now I've just got July, August, September, so that's pretty good. Again, if I wanted to look at it on a quarter by quarter basis, you can see that we've got April to June, and what year, and actually earlier on I went and changed the date range to start from April 23. So I've got April 23 quarter by quarter. So those first 3 quarters of 23-24, and then I've got the first quarter here of 24-25, and we're not quite finished the next quarter yet. So again, I can look at it quarter by quarter. Let's go into this next one, yearly. If I'm selecting on a year to date, so let's choose, let's change let's put a custom range in, and again I'll just change that to 23, see what happens, and show this range. And it's just showing me a total here for the entire period. So I've got my sales and my cost of sales. So I've got a complete period. So whether that is no, I don't see the columns year by year, which is one thing I was sort of expecting. The comparative. So if I choose a comparison type, I've got in here. So actually, just coming back on what I just said a second ago, comparison type yearly, and so I've got 23-24 to so let me put that 24-25 and compare that to 23-24. Oh, perfect. So I can see 2 years together there. I've got 24-25, 23-24. Perfect. So that does exactly what I want to do there. If you are in the comparatives page, I just noticed here that I can't drill down into the values. If you are on the monthly, quarterly, yearly pages here, so if I go into quarterly or monthly even, clicking on the values, you can't drill down, but if you do actually click on the profit and loss description, then that will then drill down so you can see everything that makes up. That's for the entire period as well though, but you can change the date range at the top if you want to minimize that down, so that's pretty good. So all in all, very, very simple actually. Now there's no saving of the reports that I've seen, but to be perfectly honest, I mean, if you've got the standard simple reports in there that you do need, I mean, you don't always need to save and customize them. So just coming back to my reports in your profit and loss, so month by month, yes. Quarter, yes. Yearly, which actually means over multiple years but just displayed on one screen, but you can have the comparative year by year up to 2 years, which is probably what you get, most you're going to need comparing this year to last year. So yeah, pretty good. I'm pretty impressed with that. So next we'll take a look at Xero. Okay, so in Xero, let's head to accounting and reports. And I can see I've got a few reports in here. Right at the top I've got profit and loss as a favourite, so let me just go ahead and open up that profit and loss report. So down the left I can see I've got standard Xero report profit and loss, and I can select the date range, so I could have this quarter, this financial year. So if I select any of those, and then if you make any changes, just click on update to update the values. And again, I'll just change that actually to this month. Update the values. So now I have just the values for this month. If I want to look at this at month by month or quarter by quarter, so depending on what my range is, so I've got a month in there. If it was a quarter, I could do the sort of monthly values or quarterly values. I can select a different number, so 4 months back I could go, let's say if I wanted to go 6 months back, and select, and now I'll run update the report. So now I can see I've got my values month by month, and I don't have anything in the previous month, so it's obviously blank there. again, so with Sage and with Free Agent, when I'm talking about comparatives, we're getting differences and also a difference by percentage if we wish, whereas in Zoho and Xero, what we have as a comparative is just actually viewing the report on a month by month basis. So yes, you can sort of compare it, but you don't get the true comparison immediately because you're having to really look at the values. But I don't see anything straight away that tells me what is the difference between September and August. And I've had a bit of a dig around, and again, I've not seen that. I mean, I may be missing something, but I would like to think it'd be quite clear if I could just change that. If I sort of do month to date comparison, so now I've got my this month that I'm in, and that's comparing it to last month for the same period, and July for the same period in time, so from the 1st to the 18th of each of those months. And if I'm looking at as year to date, that's looking this year or this financial year to date to the previous financial year to date as well. So we can see it year by year, quarter by quarter, month by month, and the comparatives, yes, because you can see those values, but not a true comparative that I would think of in my mind as in I could see this month versus last month and what the difference is straight away. So again, yes, you can download it into Excel if you really want to do that, but sometimes it's just nicer to be able to see it immediately there. All right, let me move on next to look at the profit and loss report in QuickBooks Online. Okay, so into the QuickBooks file now. I'm going to head to reports from the left navigation here, and I know in my standard reports you're always given a profit and loss report there, but again, if you didn't have that and you actually searched for profit and loss, you can see that you've got a few options: profit and loss comparison, profit and loss by month. But if I just go ahead and open up the profit and loss report as it stands, so we'll often default to this sort of calendar year to date, and that, or this financial year to date, depending on how your settings are set. So I can immediately see the period that I'm looking at, and that is for this financial year to date, as we have in here at the moment. Now, if I want to look at that on a monthly basis, then I just change how the columns are displayed. So if I change that into months, and I can run the report again, I can see my profit and loss month by month. If I change that to quarters, and you can see we've got lots of other options in here as well, I can see my profit and loss quarter by quarter. If I were looking at multiple years, I don't really have any data in here, but if I was to change that to 2022, and it wasn't one of my first things that I mentioned right at the beginning, it was really monthly, quarterly and comparisons, but just really just to show, if I changed that to years, then I could see the profit and loss on a year by year basis. Now I'll just change my report period back to let's say August 24. So change that back down to as a total only. So if I'm looking at one particular period, as I am here, now I can compare that to another period by selecting compare to a previous period. So that should look to the previous month, and you can also look at the same period in the previous year, and you've got options whether that's a percentage change or a value change as well. So I can run that report, and now I've got August 24 versus the previous month, and my changes by value and percentage. Again, there's lots of customize options. I'm not going to go into the whole customize feature within QuickBooks Online. That's something we can look at in another sort of video. But I've looked at what I was able to do, which was standard profit and loss, month by month, quarter by quarter, also year by year, and being able to do a very simple comparison, and that was very easy to do that. Again, you can save those, any changes that you do save. So if I were to save that particular one, and I'll just put in there test 1, if I do make those changes and I save them, those reports that I've saved are found in my custom reports, and that's that one there. Okay, so let's summarize what I've found so far. So within all of the packages, I've been able to look at the profit and loss pretty much over any given period. I've been able to view it month on month. I've been able to view the reports quarter by quarter. Some I've been able to do year by year. Some there are a couple of limitations on that. With regards to comparisons, I think only really Sage, Free Agent and QuickBooks Online that I saw gave me what I would refer to as a true comparison between periods, whereas actually in Zoho and Xero the comparison just meant viewing the report over a monthly or quarterly basis. And again, I could be wrong, and if anyone wants to message me and point out my failings, then please let me know and I will update the video. In my next video for comparisons, I'm actually going to be doing something very similar. I'm just going to be comparing the balance sheet report in each and just seeing how the balance sheet appears in each of those 5 software types. So thank you very much for watching. Please like and subscribe if you find this content useful, and until next time, thank you.